Hey, Dan here, and this video is not just for ENFPs, it's also for INFPs and INFJs, and it's the start of a series. Now, I'm not necessarily going to publish the whole series back to back in a row, but it's a series where we're going to explore philosophy, and we're going to look at what we can learn from different philosophies in terms of how we might want to live our lives. I found myself at this point last year where, in a way, I could kind of do whatever I wanted. I was out of a long-term relationship. I have money in the bank. I have, talent, skills, ability. And I was really thinking about life. Like, what is most important in life? What do I want to base my life on? And this led me to start exploring a lot of different philosophies and start to think about what's important to me and what my own personal life philosophy should be. And in this process, I came across a lot of interesting thoughts and a lot of interesting philosophies. And in a way, it mirrors thinking about personality types in that there's different lives for everyone. That, the life that would be really great for an ESTJ, someone who probably loves, let's say, Confucianism, is not the same life that might really appeal to, say, an ESFP, someone who probably loves hedonism. Or, okay, let's be honest, ENFPs love hedonism as well. And that understanding these different philosophies, many of which is quite interesting, many of the greatest philosophers describe the way we live now and our system as not good, not the goal. But of course, normally you look around to the people you know, your family, your society, and if you're living different from the way they say you should, then you sort of think to yourself, oh, I guess I'm doing something wrong. I guess, I have the wrong belief system. This was the case with me, where I had some certain beliefs, basically a personal philosophy I'd been living by for a while, that a few years ago I just started feeling was maybe immature or just not right. And then I'm exploring some of Nietzsche's ideas, and it's like, oh no, he's literally describing the same philosophy of life that I kind of came up for myself in my early 20s. Like, okay, maybe there's some merit to this. Maybe it's just that the people I was listening to have very different philosophies, right? So the first philosophy that we are going to explore here is hedonism. And yes, okay, this is quite an ENFP philosophy, but I think it's worth exploring. And I don't think there's necessarily one philosophy that's perfect for everyone. Maybe it's taking bits and pieces. And personally, I've looked to adopt maybe from 3 or 4 different schools of thoughts when I think about my own life. Now, hedonism, yes, can be about naughty times, but generally the philosophies that fall under the term hedonism are about maximizing life's pleasure or life's happiness. Not just, sexual pleasure, but all sorts of pleasure. It could be food, laughter, enjoyment with friends. It's basically like the point of life is to maximize your happiness. And you might say yeah, that makes sense. What else would it be? Well, that's not really a universal belief. A lot of philosophies, they say Confucianism is like this. A lot of the, I've got to review my ancient Greek and Roman philosophies more, but I think it's Socrates. It's all about duty and following through. It's either Socrates or Plato. I'll come back to that. But a lot of the philosophies are about duty, legacy, family. It's not maximize your happiness. It's what are you going to do that your legacy is great? What are you going to do so that people remember you, rather than it being about enjoy your life. When you die, you're going to be worm food, and you're not going to know what people say about you once you're dead because you'll be dead. So might as well make the most out of life and enjoy it as much as possible. There's also an argument to be made that by enjoying life as much as possible and focusing on your happiness, you'll probably actually end up having more success than if you really focus on success and trying to force yourself to behave a certain way that isn't natural to you, trying to force some external outcome. The book, The Happiness Advantage, talks about this concept where people are trying to chase external things so they can feel happy, but actually it turns out if you are happy, you're more likely to succeed externally because your brain is in a better state, you operate better, etc., etc. I'm a good case in point. The last few days I've been a little sick, you might hear it, and also just a little mentally under the weather, let's say. And I've been struggling to record this video. I think I've recorded 3 or 4 videos in the last day trying to get it right. And my brain is just not working nearly as well as it does when I'm a ball of sunshine and happiness. So on the surface, something like hedonism, well, let's just say hedonism, not something like. On the surface, hedonism might seem selfish or irresponsible, or it might be like, yeah, but what about money? What about success? What about how do I even pay for all this pleasure I'm going to have? Not paying for it that way. No, don't do that. Well, the point is, your goal under hedonism is to maximize your happiness and your pleasure. That doesn't mean you destroy your life and just, do drugs all day or just only eat cake, because that won't maximize your happiness, right? If you just sit around and eat cake all day, yeah, you might maximize your happiness for 2 hours, but then you're going to feel terrible, then you're going to get unhealthy, you're eventually going to get diabetes, and then you're not going to maximize your happiness, are you, on a grand scheme of things, right? If you don't follow through and do your work, if you don't grow a business or succeed in your career or make enough money to enjoy your life, then you're not going to maximize your happiness. So on the surface, the philosophy seems like, oh, okay, we just, you don't care about other stuff. But that's not it. It's what is your overarching guiding star, right? What are the principles? And it's to make decisions that will maximize your happiness and pleasure. So perhaps you're offered a promotion at work. And I have a friend here in Valencia that's basically had this situation. And this is someone that I'm pretty sure would be a hedonist in his view on life. Has a great life all around, really someone I'm hoping to interview actually on the channel. And he was offered a promotion. He says they keep trying to make him vice president of his company and he keeps turning them down. He's like, I make enough money to have a good life. And, he's living in Spain and he just enjoys life. He plays volleyball lots, spends time with his friends, spends time with his kids, goes on trips. He's like, I don't need the extra stress and extra time for some extra money. I have enough money. And so that's really a hedonistic approach, is my outcome is to enjoy life as much as possible. So I will make responsible decisions to maximize the joy I can have. That might mean working your butt off at something you don't like for a couple months to make a lot of money so you can go enjoy life. This is common in Canada. You have people who go crab fishing, salmon fishing. I worked at a salmon processing plant one summer. They go to the oil fields and work and earn a lot of money in 4 months and then travel 8 months a year. So there's a lot of people who do this. They work really intense labor jobs, 12 days a week, 7 days 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3-4 months, and then they go travel for 8 months a year. And one could argue probably that maximizes the total happiness they have on an annual scale. I think this is probably the natural philosophy for ENFPs. Maybe not our only philosophy. I think there's some other elements I'm going to talk about in some upcoming videos that we could work into it. But I think this is probably one that we naturally gravitate to. For INFPs, I'm not so sure. I'd love to hear from you INFPs in the comments, and same from INFJs, what you think about this approach. And yeah, that's it. I want to go through in these upcoming videos. And again, I might not post back to back, so the next video may not be about philosophy. I'm going to gradually keep adding to this series and then make it a playlist. But I want to explore these different philosophies with you and give you some frameworks to think about life. Because when we don't have a base of principles, we don't have a guiding star, it can be really hard to make decisions. It can be really tough to know what's right and what's wrong. Some people are religious and they get some of that guidance from religion, although usually not everything. And many of us aren't and are looking for other ways as well to know how to make decisions, how to set up our lives, how we want to move forward and all that sort of good stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this series. I think you're going to find it really interesting, really useful. And that's it. I'll catch you in the next video soon. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments there.